All right, thank you so much for staying there. The program is still this one on ITV on independent television. Yes, we told you that we're going to be looking at political alignments as we draw closer to the 2023 presidential election. And it is not new, you may want to say, that politicians naturally they leap from one political party to another. Most especially, when they begin to see some very green lights in the political parties that they leap to. But the very big question that we ask is, what is now the use or the potency, so to say, of the electorate? Because ultimately, it is the electorate that decides who wins the political party, not the kind of permutation, if you may say now, that politicians make. Well, the latest of it all now is Shekarau, who we are told has left its the ANPP party and going to the PDP. That came through yesterday. And we also saw recently how some politicians have also left the PDP, going to APC, leaving the APC and going to the PDP. As this this discussion proceeds, we're going to be looking at some big political politicians that have left one party and moving into another party. Well, we are so privileged to have Mr. Ken Erunse this morning, who is a political analyst and also a public affairs analyst too. We're also expecting architect Thaddeus Irabo to also join us on this discussion segment this morning. And of course, I've got my co-anchor, Daniel Praise, on the show. Mr. Ken Erunse, you're welcome to this show. All right, perhaps we may start from the latest now, the statement that is credited to Nyesom Wike of Rivers State. You know, recently we saw some of the moves that Nyesom Wike, has been making, how he has invited the Lagos State governor to come and commission some projects in his state. And of course, also meeting with some APC chieftains in London. And some other, political meetings that he has held with members of the APC. But only recently he has said that he's going to bring down the structure of APC in his state. Now, let's look at this all vis-a-vis the 2023 presidential election, and also vis-a-vis the pressure that is being mounted on Iyorchia Ayu, the PDP national chair. From all look of things, it seems that Iyorchia Ayu may eventually bow down, leaving the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, maybe paving way for Nyesom Wike eventually. Let's look at all this as we start the discussion this morning.
Good morning, Nigerians. This is the era of crisscrossing in politics. If you like, you call it carpet crossing, as the case may be, and a lot of horse trading naturally will be going on this period. In the case of Wike and Atiku, the issue has been there just immediately after the primaries, and the PDP presidential candidate Atiku decided to, against the decision of the committee set up, pick the Delta State governor, Okowa, against Wike, who was recommended actually by the committee. At that point, I knew there was going to be a problem. Now it became an issue of ego. It became an issue of, okay, let's rock the boat. I think Wike is also trying to take his pound of flesh. First, on the PDP, for not listening or for not respecting the zoning policy that has been part and policy of the party since inception. It was a common knowledge by all Nigerians that PDP had always zoned its presidency from north to south. And at this point, when Buhari just rounded up his tenure, it was naturally expected that it was going to go to the south. But against all reasonable logic, or against all wise counsel, the PDP decided to throw the towel open. And that brought up Atiku, who is now the presidential candidate. And naturally, Wike won't have been happy. Even a lot of the southern politicians are not happy with this. So when the issue of the VP came up, it was also expected that Atiku, to pacify Wike, would have taken Wike as his VP nominee. But even when a committee was set up, and I'm aware, or at least it is common knowledge in the newspaper and the media that Atiku was part of the brain behind the setting up of that committee to recommend a VP for him. And the committee eventually recommended Wike, Wike. And he, on his own, with his own decision, he declined and picked Okowa. But it has always also been alleged that Governor Okowa supported him immensely in the primaries against Wike. And that naturally drew bad blood. And Wike is aggrieved. And he has a right, as far as I'm concerned, he has a right to be aggrieved. First, the zoning formula has not been adhered to. Secondly, his ego has been bruised. So it is natural in politics that Wike, who is a very strong force politically, you cannot deny that about Wike. He's very strong. As you can see, he has about 5 governors with him who are loyal to him. And you know what it means when you have 5 governors not working for your interests? That will be a big blow for the Atiku's presidential
ambition. Yeah.
Obviously. Governor Autumn is with him. The 2 governors from the east, I think Makinde from the west, from Oyo State is with him. The 2 governors from the east, PDP governors from the east, they are with him. And a couple of other leaders, ex-governors, even the revered Jerry Ghana, who is known to be a very big political juggernaut to this country, is with him. So you can see the array of supporters that he has. So with that, he has a very big bargaining power.
So let's assume at the end of the day, they are not able to get Wike to their camp. Are you saying that minus Wike from PDP, there's going to be a kind of form of defeat for the PDP?
Sitting in this position right now, seated here, I can foresee a defeat for PDP if Wike and his supporters decide not to work for it.
Because some PDP members, stakeholders have said, well, you are just a sitting governor. When you are done, you come back and join us. Well, some former governors actually said that when you are done, you come back and join us. We are all ex-governors. We are ordinary citizens. So are you saying that after everything, if Wike didn't work for the PDP, Atiku may not emerge winner?
Obviously, because PDP, as we speak now, Wike is a governor, controls a lot of funds and resources, which no one can dispute. And he has, like I said, the emphasis I've always told people is that he has some governors supporting him. He's not just alone in this whole issue. He has governors who are actually with him, who are taking a stand that if Wike is not pacified, they too will not be pacified.
Some have put it to him that you just have 1 vote. It's just your vote.
But in politics, every 1 vote matters. Yes, that is the game. It's a game of numbers. Every 1 vote matters. Wike 1 vote, his supporters vote, the other governors with him, their supporters vote, all matters. We all, at the end of the day, this, like now, what led to the defeat of PDP in 2015? It's still public knowledge. It's still recent. It was when 5 governors pulled out to form the MPDP and decided to form APC.
The Saraki group.
The Saraki group, even Atiku was with them, went with them. 5 governors. That was what dismantled PDP. Okay. In the 2015 election.
Now let's look at the topic one more time, because we're trying to look at this advent of political alignments by politicians. Yeah. Now, the latest of it is the former governor of Kano State, Senator Ibrahim Shakarau, that only 2 days ago he has left his former party, the NNPP, having spent only 3 months in that party and pitching his tent now for the People's Democratic Party. Now, what do you make of this issue as it relates to politicians trying to undermine the potency of the electorate? Because for these politicians, the reason why they leave Party A to Party B is because of their political postulation that, okay, perhaps this party has a better opportunity of winning the election at the expense of the electorate. What do you make of it all?
Anyway, this is one sad story or one sad narrative of the Nigerian political system. It is unfortunate, it is nauseating, it is, not to use a very harsh word, it is disgusting. I see that politicians always think of themselves. But there's a popular saying that a politician thinks of the next election. Yeah. It's only a statesman that will think of the next generation. Now, the only thing politicians think about is how they are going to win elections or how they are going to be relevant in the scheme of things. Because this issue of Shekarau, the former governor of Kano State, the manner he has been crisscrossing various political parties, I mean, speaks volume of his integrity. I beg to say that. I mean, because he was a governor, a former governor, under the ANPP then. For 8 years he was governor. Immediately he left as governor, and he went with other politicians to form, no, he was still the governor. Goodluck became president. Then in 2011, he went with other politicians. Sorry, 2015, he went with other politicians to form the APC. I think that was what happened. He went to form the APC. Now.
And recently he now
left the APC.
Yeah.
When Ganduje became governor, I think he had he had problem with Kwankwaso, the former governor, who was then the leader of APC. And he went to PDP, back to PDP. Then the moment Kwankwaso left APC, because Kwankwaso also had a problem with Ganduje, he came back to APC. Now, while still in APC, I think he's also having problem with Ganduje. He was having problem with Ganduje, the governor. All these problems he's having with them it's not about the interest of the people anyway. It's about his personal interest, how he will be accommodated. You know, in politics, there's this horse trading they always do. What is going for me? What will be my interest in this and that? What's my stake? And this is not for the interest of the people anyway. So I think he could resolve his issues with Ganduje. He now went to, and that was even the most astonishing part of the thing. Kwankwaso is regarded as, both of them are regarded as arch rivals in terms of politics. They are rivals. He now went to pitch his tent with Kwankwaso's new political party, which is the ANPP, hoping that he will have a good bargain there. Even though he was given the senatorial slot, which I'm aware, he was given the senatorial slot by the ANPP to fly the ticket.
At next year's election.
And the next election.
Yeah.
But I think the problem he's having with Kwankwaso in NNPP is that some of his supporters are not being accommodated in the party structure, which ab initio was their initial agreement. And that has been delaying, and tactically is believing that Kwankwaso is intentionally doing that.
Do you see Shekarao's defection as really as a result of the issues that he has with Kwankwaso, or as a result of this feeling that, because whether you like it or not, there seems to be an issue, brewing, the Northern Agenda issue, as it relates to the emergence of Atiku Abubakar as a presidential candidate of the PDP. And of course, for notable northern politicians trying to now pinch tents with the PDP candidates.
To me, those are still in the realm of speculation. It is neither here nor there, because what I'm aware of, what has been written in the media, is that he has a problem, political issues with Kwankwaso based on the sharing formula of the party structure. That's to tell you, if the sharing was done appropriately the way they agreed ab initio, or maybe perhaps he won't have come to PDP. So it is because of his interest not being carried along. Because in politics, the truth of the matter is that if you don't have your structure entrenched, even if he becomes a senator in the 2023 election, the tendency that he may not go further than that is there. Or his loyalists will not be carried along is there, because he does not have a structure. He may want to have people, some of his loyalists to occupy chairmanship position at the local government level, even some of his supporters to go for governorship because he can no longer contest for governor. But without the structure, he cannot do all that. So Kwankwaso have denied him all that. And for that reason, he has to go to PDP. Perhaps he has a better bargain in PDP to have hold of structure, perhaps.
We're talking about structure now. Over time, some big wigs have come out to say the Labour Party doesn't have a structure over time. But recently we've seen what has been playing out away from the social media, where they were alleged to be occupying. In most of Nigerian streets today, you see them having their major rallies, and you see youth coming out in numbers. Do you think that should be a source of concern for other parties?
Yes, obviously it is a source of concern, especially to the two major political parties, the APC and the PDP. You know, the reason Obi left PDP, you will recall, is because of the same zoning issue that was not, done in PDP. Because Obi was hoping that if the presidency was zoned to the south, particularly the southeast, he would get a better chance. So when that didn't happen, and he noticed that the convention was all going to be money, cash and carry business, and he doesn't really want to spend that kind of money. He left and he went to the Labour Party. Now, what that has done is that there's now the emergence of a third force, which people have been clamoring for all these years. Nigerians have actually been clamoring for a third force because this APC, PDP, we see them as one and the same. You understand? Because people move from PDP to APC today, tomorrow from APC to PDP. So they are the same thing. There's no difference, no ideological difference anyway. It's a matter of interest that binds them together.
It's two different parties with different
Yes. So the OB factor, obviously, it has no structure. When we talk of structure, we're talking of no governors in Labour Party, no senators, no House of Rep members, no chairmans, it doesn't have chairmanship or whatever in any of the states. So it is regarded that those are the structure for politics. But the truth of the matter is that it has been all over the world. It has been confirmed that the real structure is the people. When the people are behind you, you have a structure. So OB is not somebody anybody can dismiss with a wave of the hand. It's a force. It portends a big threat to the major political parties as we speak. He has followership.
Well, let us leave it so that it won't look as if we are trying to prefer candidates on the show. All the candidates are big forces. They are big forces, so to say. For the fact that you are contesting an election, a presidential election for that matter, it then means that you are a big force to be reckoned with. Only the electorate will decide who is the biggest force among them all come February next year. Now, the program is still this morning on ITV, and we're still looking at political alignments as the 2023 presidential election draws closer. Now, for Senator Eyocha Ayu, the PDP national chairman, we know that he's under pressure as it stands now for him to relinquish power as national chairman of the PDP. Now, somebody said that he made a promise that when he becomes eventually the chairman of the PDP, there's no way he will allow a northern, candidates to also flag the presidential, flag for the party. As it stands now, people are asking questions. What now happened to the promise that you made? Now, Kenny said, throw light on this Eyocha Ayu's position. As it stands now, national chairman of PDP, and also having a presidential candidate from the same geopolitical zone as it relates to the 2023 election.
Yes, the issue of the PDP national chairman, Senator Eyocha Ayu, is to me, is a clear case of people who do not own up to their words. Some may use the word integrity, I don't know. Because I could recall, Eyocha, one of the interview, it is on air, you can Google it on the internet. I had an interview on one of the TV stations, and this question was put to him. Supposing having become the national chairman, remember he came via a consensus, he didn't campaign, he didn't win an election. He was just chosen as a consensus candidate. So that means there was already an agreement.
A gentleman agreement.
A gentleman agreement that if peradventure, the presidency comes from the ticket of the PDP goes to the north, what will you do? And in that interview, he clearly stated that he will step down because as a statesman, he will want the party not to reflect a particular geographical region, that is a regional party. That means everybody must be carried along because it's also a constitutional position in the PDP. That is even what is making the whole issue very. To me, I don't understand why politicians cannot even read their constitution. There is a constitutional provision in the PDP constitution which provides that at any point in time, when the candidate is from the north, the party chairmanship goes to the south.
Or goes to another region.
Vice versa.
Yeah.
It's north and south. The zoning arrangement is between the north and the south. It's not on geopolitical arrangement. So that is why it can come from anywhere from the south, it can come from anywhere from the north. Now that Atiku emerged the candidate of the PDP and is from the north, common sense, or you would have expected that a man who will own up to his words, who will be alive to his responsibility as the national chairman who is supposed to provide direction and provide the vision for the party, we simply just resign and allow somebody from the south to come on board. But the man has declined or has refused to resign. And that is one of the demands of the Wike's group. That the condition upon which they will support an Atiku presidency is predicated upon the resignation of the national chairman, Ayu.
Yeah.
So peradventure Ayu resigns and Wike emerge as the national chairman. Some people are worried that the Atiku camp may not want to trust Wike to work with him. What's your take on that?
Okay, let me clear these issues. That Ayu resigning not necessarily means that the Wike is going to become the national chairman, because he's still a sitting governor. And according to the party constitution or the electoral law, a governor cannot be a party chairman. That is an aberration. But the point is that Wike will produce somebody from his camp, among his supporters. So that is the point. Now, this issue of structure we're talking about, and in politics, people are always looking towards the next election. I can tell you, people are not just talking of the 2023 election now. So people are already talking about or looking up to the 2027 general elections. I can tell you, that is the fear. The fear in the Atiku's camp, because don't forget that most of the governors who work against Wike are from the South, and they all are with the Atiku. They belong to the Atiku's camp. And they don't ever want Wike to hold the national chairmanship, either by proxy or by one of his supporters, because they know that would eventually maybe damage their political future in the party. So they are protecting that jealously. But at the same time, they forget that by protecting that, they are also leaving Atiku's ambition to be in disarray. Because if Wike and his supporters, being 5 or 4 governors with him, do not support Atiku, the chances of him winning the presidency is very slim. That means Atiku will not have vote in the south at all. Where he may have some vote, maybe in the northeast. Even in the northwest, he will have problem, because Tinubu is a force there. APC is a very strong force in the northwest. They have their structure there, the governors there. All the governors in the northwest are from APC. So there's no gainsaying the fact that Ayu, for peace to reign in PDP, Ayu need to resign, and the chairmanship slot need to go to the south to balance the regional arrangement, the north and south. Because, okay, how? Like what Wike and his group have been telling the Atiku's group. How do we go and campaign in the south when the chairman is from the north, the presidential candidate is from the north, the BOT chairman is from the north? So what do we tell our people? How are you going to tell the people from the south that this party belongs to them? It all looks like, as it is now, PDP looks like a regional party. Because all the top echelons of the party and the presidential candidates are from the north. So even the BOT chairman, Jubri, made a statement, twice or three times he made that statement, categorically clear in his own statement that the chairmanship, as a matter of equity, fairness, and justice, should go to the south. That's not something they should be standing about. It's a very clear, it's even a constitutional provision. All you need to do is for the PDP to cite the relevant sections in their constitution and go for a NEC meeting, convene a NEC meeting, and take that decision immediately. Once that decision is taken at the NEC meeting, or Ayu can even help himself by resigning the position so that they can take a decision on how the position goes to the south. If that is not done, my brother, I can tell you categorically that PDP will lose the next presidential election.
That's your opinion.
Yeah, no, that is true. That is the facts on ground. Because when you are going into an election, you must check your statistics and the facts on ground. From 1999 till date, till 2019, the last general election, PDP support base has always been from the south. In fact, Atiku didn't win in the north. The statistics are there. Buhari defeated him flatly in the north. But in the south, he had massive support. So PDP has always been, their support base has always been from the south. So if you disregard that support base, as if they matter, they don't matter, man, there's no way you are going to go into that election and emerge victorious. And now, even with the Peter Obi third force emergence, it has even put PDP in a very precarious situation. It is not clear that Peter Obi will take a lot of the vote from the southeast and even from the south-south if care is not taken. If Wike and his other supporters decide not to work for Atiku. Because the person that can hold the South-South votes is Wike and his supporters.
Now that we're talking about Peter Obi, let us also try to examine a kind of a publication that became very, popular about a few days ago, whereby the national chairman of INEC, said that any politician that goes to the church to campaign, stands some form of litigation from INEC, so to say. We've seen some of the politicians going to church programs and all that, but I'm yet to see any of the politicians that actually campaigned, because there is a difference between when you attend a church program and, of course, you campaign. Now, Peter Obi was at Redeem Church in just their convention they had recently, and we also saw him at in Nietzsche's church in Abuja, a convention that they also had recently. He did not campaign in those events. Now some persons are uncomfortable with this kind of statements coming from national chairman of INEC. Let's look at all this. Do you see some interest trying to pave way for some preferred politicians after all?
All right. To be fair to INEC, the INEC chairman, with all the reforms he has done recently, we have to give it to him. The guy has shown impartiality to a large extent. He has shown that he's going to be very impartial in the next election. I will give that to him, because if he didn't want to conduct credible elections, he wouldn't go about bringing out all those reforms. Remember, even when President Muhammadu Buhari refused to sign the amended electoral law, the national chairman, the present national chairman, what's his name again, sorry?
Of INEC?
The INEC chairman, Mahmoud Yakubu, refused to come out with a timeline for the elections. He said the electoral law, he insisted that the electoral law must be signed, the new electoral law must be signed before he can release the timetable for the elections. And that was why, if you notice, the timetable was adjusted a little bit further to meet up with the required constitutional arrangement. But at the same time, the man has been true to his words. He has conducted elections in some states, and we have seen that these elections.
Now, the question I'm asking,
yes, I'm going there now.
The electoral law,
yes.
Going by your electoral law now, does the electoral law says that a candidate cannot attend a church program?
No, I think, yes, coming to that point, I just wanted to lay a foundation that, to me, the guy has not been partial. Okay. So now, the point is partial
now, Mahmoud, chairman.
Yeah,
we're talking about the candidates, and the person of
yes, we're talking about, when you made those statements, INEC made those statements.
Yeah.
The timetable for campaigns, the election timetable is very clear. Election starts for campaigns actually starts from
September
28th. That's the date that officially campaigns should have started. So he's trying to prevent the situation. I think, to my own understanding, he's trying to prevent the situation whereby some of these candidates, so to say, both Obio, even Tinubu, also attend mosque. We have seen videos or pictures where he attend mosque and all that, and it was, televised and all that. Then even concern the rest of them, even Atiku. Then these people don't go and start campaigning before the time for
that's the question.
Obi did not campaign in those.
Okay,
what he did was invited. When you are invited in some of those programs, you are not expected to campaign, but you can make statements. Making policy statements is not the same thing as campaigning.
Yeah.
So what they are doing now is just making.
Yeah, the reason why I have to bring this question up here this morning, it's for you to try to react to some of the comments making rounds now, that it appears that even the INEC structure is trying to pave way for some preferred candidates and all that. So I needed you to react to it.
Yes, that's why I did a background analysis of how the present INEC chairman
came up with such
has been instrumental to the new electoral law that we have, which to a large extent is not making Nigerians to believe in our electoral system, because the introduction of the electronic transmission and all that, other things that the BVA, what do you call it, BIVA, sorry, that he introduced, has actually made the elections more transparent than it used to be. I can tell you categorically that in the next election will be very transparent, because the reforms are already there. Technology and all that will be used. So if he has done that, if he has taken time, taken his pains to do all that, I see him as somebody that will give us a credible
So are
election.
you
Now,
saying there will be no room for rigging come 2023?
it will be very, very, very
You know, it has been a source of fear for some people.
Yes, ringing, yes. The ringing now, let me just tell you, the ringing that politicians are going to be indulging now, and that is where I expect the INEC chairman to come in now. I don't think he has been doing much in that regards. Is the issue of vote buying. Politicians are now knowing that ballot snatch is no longer in vogue. You can't do it and succeed. With the tradition of electronic transmission, you cannot go and tamper with results. They now realize that, oh, how do we do this now? How do we now entice people to vote for us? It's only by inducement.
Who should be held responsible for vote buying?
Yes, that is the job of the security agencies, actually.
To an extent, an average citizen that has gone through a lot, you flash money to an extent, it's practically impossible to resist. So who should be held accountable? That is
what we're saying. That is why I said INEC should also come with some reforms or some arrangements that because they have it is their constitutional right to come up with the system of the voting pattern. For example, if you see the way they place the ballot boxes when they are voting, if you have been to an election ground, you will notice that it's very close to where you have the party agents and all that, where the president of the party is stated. That is why when somebody is going to vote, they monitor your vote and check how you are putting your thumbprint. For example, if your thumbprint is going up, they know that you're either voting for APC, which is A, or other parties that start with that alphabet A. If you are going down, the person will know, oh, this guy is going for PDP, Labour or whatever. Those are the areas INEC can come in. INEC should try and make that arrangement to ensure that the party agents wouldn't know what the person who is voting
but from at the polling units, you have the polling box, the voting area. The party agent is not supposed to even know what an electorate is doing right there. I mean, the electorate is shielded in such a way that nobody sees his choice.
No, presently, like I've witnessed a lot of elections, even the last election, the way the box is placed, voters are close to it. People are close to it. So they need to put it in a way, if possible, if you are doing your voting in a primary school, for example, in a school environment, you can put the box inside the classroom.
Okay.
While everybody is outside.
Outside.
If you are going to go inside, because nobody will be there with you.
Yeah.
You vote and you come out. So that way, nobody can see what you're doing. Nobody can influence your decision. Because what they are doing now is to give you money before the elections. You understand? When you come to the ground on the election money, people will take you outside, give you money to influence your vote.
Anyway, we still say here that the electorate has a very big role to play in for us to have a free and fair election come 2023. Because the truth of the matter is that the issue of votes buying should be a thing of the past, and so much desirable as far as the 2023 presidential election is concerned. Well, some of the reports that we have now, we have some big political bigwigs that have left their former party, going to another party. We understand that Barrister Abdullahi Idris Umar has announced the switch of his allegiance from the ruling All Progressives Congress APC to People's Democratic Party in Gombe State. That's one big one that we're talking about. Barrett, let's see now. We're talking about the ex-minister who has just decamped the APC to the PDP. Now, all these are politicians from northern extraction. So that's why there's so much suspicion to believe that the northern agenda is so much in focus. You just find northern politicians decamping the ruling party and pinching their tents for the PDP. That I don't know if you have other questions to ask.
Well, the truth is, don't you think with this recent move that we are experiencing from the APC to the PDP, the southern Nigerians, should this be a source of worry for them?
No, let me just break it down. The truth of the matter is that those who are decamping right now, if you go details about them, are those who lost out in the primaries, in the APC, especially in the APC.
So you are saying they are just trying to...
No, the major political force are not decamping. Our ex-minister, yes, what is his present status? What force does he have in the politics of his state? It is when you see governors decamping, that is when you begin to have this notion that, oh, there's actually probably an agenda. But as far as I can recall now, I've not seen any prominent northern governor who is in APC that have decamped to PDP. As a matter of fact, the reason why APC have a presidential candidate from the south today is because of the stand of the northern governors.
So you think this cross-carpeting will not have any negative?
No, not at all. These are politicians. If you can recall that the president made some statements some days ago, when some of these same politicians you're talking about now went to visit him, trying to curry his sympathy or his whatever, understanding and all that, he told them point blank that if you decide to leave my party, because his party is APC anyway, and go to another party, don't expect me to support you in another party. I will not give you my support. I will only support candidates from my party, the APC. That was what the president stated categorically. So those are people who lost out in the primaries, in their parties. And you know, normal politician, once you lose out, just the way Shekarawa has been decamping, once you lose out in the scheme of things, just look for other ways. So it's not I can say here that that is not in northern Nigeria. The only way I would say there is in northern Nigeria, if I see like 3-4 governors from the north leaving APC and going to PDP, you can begin to speculate that, oh, something is going on. But as far as I'm concerned, the northern governors, the reason why the candidate of the APC today is from the south is because of the stand of the northern governor. Remember that the national chairman of the APC at a point was trying to project Ahmed Lawan, who is a northerner, the Senate president, that he was the consensus candidate of the party, that he had an agreement based on his discussion with the president, even mentioned the president in that meeting, that his discussion with the president and other stakeholders that Ahmed Lawan, the consensus candidate, at that point they were trying to push a northerner. But let me tell you, why I have to give thumbs up to the northern governors. They stood their ground. They even went to the president and told the president, this is our stand. The presidency must and should go to the south for the purpose of equity. If northern is just ruling, you are going 8 years stretch, and it is not right and fair that the president should go back to the north. So the northern governors, 14 of them, if you recall, stood their ground, issued press statement. Even before the president could realize it, they have issued press statement.
One of the governors came out to say, one of the APC governors, sitting governor, actually came out to say he's not interested in any political office if peradventure Asiwaju might emerge the president of the country.
Yes.
So don't you think that should send a wrong signal to the Asiwaju camp? They actually agitated for him to come into power.
Yes.
But now this same person is now saying no, we are not ready to work with you.
You say he's not interested.
Governor of Kaduna State, yes.
You know, that's political statement. Those are normal political statements. I can tell you, the Nasir El-Rufai has been saying this. To be fair to Nasir El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State has been saying this long ago. I remember in one interview when I think it was granted on channels or so, they asked him if he wanted to run for the presidency. He said no, he's not really interested. They even asked him if he was trying to be in the VP to any of the, maybe Rotimi Amechi, because I think it was speculated they were very close to Rotimi Amechi, or even Sibanjo. He declined. He said no, he's not interested in politics. He's tired. The man has set category in any fora, in every fora that he has been privileged to opportunity to discuss these issues, that he's tired, that he wants to rest, he needs a break. I think the man means what he's saying. For once,
coming out to say that
I believe
El-Rufai work in any capacity.
No. Yes, he said that he was only interested in doing contracts. That was what I read recently. He said, I can go and go look for contracts, but I cannot hold positions. Because, listen, somebody can be tired for so many reasons. It may be on health ground. You don't know his health history. Or it may be doctor's advice. It may even be family pressure. Maybe the wife or the family has said, enough of all this public office. The stress is too much. The man is old overnight now. You can see Rufai. He was not as old as he is now 8 years ago, but today, man, he's old overnight. So the family may have also pressurized and said, please, calm down. So the man has stated in his own that is what he wants for himself. It's his own decision that he will go for contract. You can go and look for, if Tinubu becomes president, you can go and seek for contract from him. That is also part of government. You are providing services for the government. You are also working in that capacity, adding value. You understand? When you are getting contracts from a particular government and you are delivering on the job, you are providing services and you are adding value to the government.
Anyway, Mr. Kenny, we really want to appreciate your efforts coming this morning and throwing light on the political situations in the country. Well, you said that we are yet to see any governor decamping. We still have time. We're talking about next year. So maybe when we begin to hear one or two governors decamping from one party to another, then of course we'll know that governors even have their own preferred candidates too. Ken Erunse, I want to say a very big thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you.
All right, so that was the discussion segment today on the program this morning on ITV with Mr. Ken Erunse, a political and also a public affairs analyst. Join us on the show today. My name is still Evan Sunukuge, and Daniel Praise, so Sadibame is still right here. So we'll take a short pause now, and we'll be right back to just wrap it up. Okay, we can even just wrap it up now because time is well spent. Daniel, we can do a wrap on the show today.
Of course, have a happy new month.
All right, so don't forget at 9 o'clock, Dennis Ofik is going to be here on the business segment. Please stay tuned.